Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Gigawatts. I am Peter, that is Connor. This is our weekly movie news show, although there wasn't one last week, which is a fair point to make if you want to criticise that opening. So basically, because we've had such a busy TV schedule over the last few weeks, this week and last week we decided to just do one news last week and one news this week. Normally we do both a TV and a movie one. Last week was just a TV one, this week is just a movie one. Next week it's back to normal, and you get one of each. Now you're probably thinking, but wait a minute, doesn't that mean that you didn't guess the box office for Avengers Infinity War? Well, see, we thought of that, which is why if you want to hear our predictions, because they're on camera, you can go and see them, they're at the end of the TV news from last week. So you can go check them out. I've got them written down. I'll tell you what our predictions were.
Yeah, you can just take our word for it, but just in case you don't believe it and you want hard evidence, it's there. We thought of that.
So yeah, so obviously we talk about the box office, we talk about the week's news, and we talk about some trailers that came out this week. Although in this case, because we have 2 weeks worth of stuff, it spread over a little bit more time. And it didn't mean that I maybe cut some of the less interesting stuff so that this wasn't insanely long, but all the most interesting stuff from both this week and last week are in the news and the trailers. So that's what we're going to do. That is the plan for the next 90 minutes to 2 hours. Hopefully.
And the real question is, last week on the TV news, I said there was one piece of news that I wanted to make sure you had. Because to me was the biggest news of last week.
It wasn't, but go on.
And I think it would be interesting to see if that's in here or not.
It's not, but we can it's fine. Trust me, it's not that interesting, guys. No one else cares.
You're a goddamn disgrace.
No one cares about Chicken Run, Connor, alright? No
Everyone
one freaking cares. No one cares. It's shit.
I'm sorry, it is the highest grossing stop motion movie.
There's not that many of them. It's not that many of them.
Look, people care. It's a great movie.
It's not that good.
There's a second one coming. I'm excited.
I didn't like it when I was a kid. I never watched it again as an adult, because why would I?
Because it's very funny.
Oh, God, no. So with that said, we'll get into the box office for the week, shall we? So the predictions for the opening weekend for Avengers Infinity War, which is obviously number one. There's no...
we were never questioning that.
No teasing whether or not, oh, did it make it number one? Of course it bloody did. In fact, it broke the record for number one opening weekend. So, you know... but the predictions, Connor guessed at 225 million, and I guessed 255 million. That was our guesses. And
I just want to point out here before we get to this, my guess is not like absurdly low. That's still a reasonable guess.
But you're wrong, so it's just...
I am wrong, but because it's going to sound absurdly low.
You lost, because the actual figure, once all was said and done, because the estimates, of course, like starting Thursday or Friday, and then they kept sort of, they were at like 240, 230, 240, and then they kept going up over the weekend until we got to Sunday, and it was like 257.6 million is the actual opening weekend take for
that did rise quite a bit, because the first ones I saw on the Thursday were 232. So, it went up a good
Thursday,
chunk.
You saw estimates before we guessed?
No, Friday. Whenever it was that we looked after that.
I'm on to you, you cheating ginger.
I don't know what day we do things.
So, yeah, 257.6 million. That beats Force Awakens it beats by about just under 10 million, because that was 248. And that was the record at the time. So basically, shove it, Star Wars.
Hey, next year.
I like how you say next year, not Solo. You don't say
Solo's not. Look, I'm not being funny. Look, I love Star Wars. I am, for some reason, somewhat excited about Solo. Don't ask me why. I can't explain it. But I'm not thinking it's gonna beat this. I'm not. I have a brain. So it's somewhere.
Allegedly.
Look, there's one. There is
actually
one.
This is totally off topic. This is totally random in the context of the movie news show. But the one thing I forgot to bring up when we did the Legion review this week, the TV show on FX, it started with apparently on Legion, and I thought that was really funny because Legion, because of the way it plays with what's real and what's not. That was a really funny thing. Instead of saying previously on, I just thought that was funny, and you just reminded me of it. Anyway, so Avengers Infinity War, 257.6 million. We did do a review, both us with Matt and Tim, all four Mild Fuzz folk were all on it together. It was a 2-hour review, and it was a good fun time. You can go watch that or listen to it.
Yeah, it was fun. I got to play the villain.
Yeah, either on the YouTubes or you can get the audio feed at Mild Fuzz Movies. Also, the easiest way to get to our audio feeds, other than searching Mild Fuzz TV in your podcast app, is just to go to the Patreon and the link, because you get like a list of all the audio feeds, all the RSSs and all the iTunes links. But hey, anyway, so what's that worldwide? That's a question. I think that's worth checking in with Avengers. So as of recording, which is Friday night, 905 million.
Has that opened in China yet? Because I know
Nope.
China was late opening.
Nope. Well, I mean, it might have done it on the last day, but I don't think the numbers will be in yet if it has opened in China on the Friday. But it didn't do it.
So-
It didn't open in China the first week. You know, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
Also, another little statistic I want to point out here:
Go on.
it outgrossed Justice League in 3 days.
Yeah, that's just sad.
Because the opening weekend worldwide was like 690, which was more than Justice League's entire run.
Yep. Yeah.
But honestly,
I don't know how Warner screwed up so much.
yeah, that's I mean, this is purely on them. This is them hiring Zack Snyder and damaging the brand, and then
This is, opinions about this film, whatever they may be. This made so much because they built a brand.
they did.
They have so much positive goodwill.
Yeah. So yeah, Avengers: Infinity War. I liked the movie. For the record, Connor wasn't as hot on it, but
I don't hate it. I just think it's kind of a mess.
there you go. But no, I like the quite a bit. So you can go check out our review if you want to get the full Mailed Fuzz opinions on Avengers: Infinity War. So that was number one. Number two was A Quiet Place, and its fourth weekend at 11 million. So that's still doing quite nice. Nice bit of counter programming. That has now made 242 million worldwide, which for a $17 million budget is doing quite nice.
Raking it in.
Yeah. So Krasinski just became someone who gets offered a lot of jobs in Hollywood.
Yeah.
That he did. Number three is I Feel Pretty with 8 million. Number four is Rampage with 7.2 million. That's its third weekend. I was curious what that was worldwide now. That's at 356 million. So that's at that kind of. Could get a sequel at that, but it's not.
Yeah,
huge.
it's at a respectable range.
Notably, 77% of that's worldwide, or foreign, I should say. Domestic is only 20% of that.
Yeah, a lot of films not doing so hot domestically this year.
Yep. Number five is Black Panther with 4.7 million. That's still in there. Interesting, that did go down money-wise from last week. It went down 4%, but it actually went down 280 theatres and actually went up in places. It was actually number 8 last week, which shows that because number one's sucking up all the money this past weekend, that Black Panther actually pretty much maintained where it was, purely because I imagine some people thought, I'll go see that again, like a day before Infinity War.
Yeah, like I said, I know my cinema put in a bunch of extra showings the week before.
It makes a lot of sense why that's, so Black Panther's still showing in one screen and then Infinity War's in the next 5, raking it in.
Pretty much.
So then number 6 was Super Troopers 2 with 3.7 million. Actually, well, Black Panther worldwide, I think that's worth checking on now. Now, we'll probably this will be the last time we check on it, but 1.335 billion is where that ended up. So
it's funny that we talk about this and Infinity War and the Infinity War beat the record from Star Wars, but Disney just don't care. Disney just got it all.
Yeah, Disney have 9 out of the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time.
That's insane.
9. And honestly, I am rooting for the other studios to start competing. I want there to be competition. I don't like them having a monopoly. So Warner Brothers, Universal, and to be fair, Universal, they have the one other one. They have Jurassic World in that top 10.
Yeah, they're trying.
So credit to them. But Paramount, all of you, step up, because we can't be having a monopoly. It's not good for anyone.
It's just maddening because Justice League should be in that.
Oh, it should be. It absolutely
given
should be.
the other films that are in there.
Had it been a good movie and had
it might have been,
previously good movies attached to it, it very well should have been. Number 7 is Truth or Dare with 3.2 million. Number 8 is Blockers with 2.9 million. Number 9 is Ready Player One with 2.5 million. And that has made 554 million worldwide. That is actually surprisingly high, I think, given that domestic is Only just 130 million.
That's very good. Then they'll be happy with that. I mean, they'll be disappointed domestically, but in
Yeah.
general, they'll be happy with it.
And then number 10 is Traffic with 1.6 million. So that is the top 10 for the week. I think it's worth doing some guesses for next weekend, or this weekend, that we're just going into. Definitely Avengers, for sure.
Yeah. Is there anything else?
I'm just looking to see if there's anything else coming up that is worth guessing for. Not really. The big, there's a comedy, then there's Tully coming out. I feel like that's about it.
No.
So basically, we're just guessing Avengers second weekend. That's what we're doing now. So
we're dropping from 257.
Yep.
Okay.
I've got a number in mind, but you can.
165.
I feel this is bold in the opposite direction of last week's guess.
Yeah.
But if you want to go for it, you can go for it.
Yeah.
I absolutely think it'll be over 100, which is amazing. The idea of having a second weekend over 100 million, like, so,
Yeah, I'm going up there.
most movies would kill to have a first weekend over 100 million. Never mind weekend number 2. I'm thinking something more along the lines of 125, 130. I'm going to say 125.
That's much more realistic.
Yeah, I'm going to say 125. I expect just under half, which I think that kind of.
Yeah, no, that's reasonable. But I feel like it's way more fun if mine's right, just for being outlandish.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, I believe it's the fastest to 1 billion when it hits. It's on track to do that. So
sounds about right.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense. So no, it's a solid movie, and it's making a metric shit ton of money. So there we go. That is the box office, which will take us on to the news. We start off with comic book movie news, as always. Now, there's a lot of sort of less known comic properties in this news this week. We'll start with the one that we will know of. Not that that means it's the most exciting one, because we're talking about Gambit.
Oh my god, this thing's still happening?
Which Fox is still threatening us with. Fox is apparently having meetings with directors that have apparently met 65 directors recently to see who wants to take over Gambit.
And none of them want it. It should give you a hint. No one wants this goddamn movie.
Channing Tatum's still attached.
Channing Tatum wants this movie. He's the only one.
He signed on. It's worth mentioning that this movie has lost these directors over the course of its life. It's lost 3 fairly high-profile directors. Rupert Wyatt, who did Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Doug Liman, who did the first Bourne movie, amongst others, and Gore Verbinski, who did the Pirates movies, or at least the first one. I don't know if he did any of the other ones, but so you got some directors there who have had some hits.
Yeah, definitely
spread among them, and they've all left. Apparently, every single one of them was over creative differences.
It's because they're giving Channing Tatum final edit.
Tatum's got final edit. That's not negotiable. Well, I'm out.
Do you know what is funny? I joke, but I don't know if that could be true, given the way he cares about this movie more than anyone else in the world.
The funny thing is, I feel like this is weird, because I feel like 5 years ago I wouldn't have been sticking up for Channing Tatum, but I feel like he cares about his work enough that he wouldn't be that much of an anal asshole about it.
Okay. I
get the sense he wouldn't actually be that much of a dick, but I mean, that's just a feeling more than anything else. So yeah, they're still threatening us with it. Disney's going to have X-Men by the time they even get this remotely going. So this is still not happening as far as I'm concerned. This is already dead. They're just not willing to call it. It's lying dead in the bed. It's flatlined, and they're like, no, get the defibrillator out. We'll give it another go. No, it's dead, Jim. It's dead.
Yeah.
Moving on. Constantine Film and Prime Universe have teamed up to turn the Vault comic title Heathen into a movie. It is a kick-ass female Viking warrior. That's what it's about. The script will be written by Kerry Williamson, whose credits include Alex Cross and Netflix's What Happened to Monday, which is still on my to-watch list, because that had an interesting trailer.
Mine too.
So, written and drawn by Natasha Alterici, Heathen tells the story of a young Viking warrior named Adis. An outcast and self-proclaimed heathen, Adis is a woman born into a time of warfare, suffering, and subjugation of women. She takes on a quest to end the oppressive reign of the god king Odin and break the shackles imposed on other women around her.
I think I need to go and read this. I don't think I'll wait for the movie.
Should probably tell Matt about the Viking.
Yeah, you probably
comic
should.
as well.
He might punch us
He may get upset
if
if
we
don't.
kind of let on later that we've known about this for a while.
So yeah, so that's an interesting one that I have not heard of. Similarly, so there's another comic called Black, which is in the works. And I mean, this article sort of speculates, oh, Black Panther was a big hit, so that's why this has been put forward. But Seth man, Seith. Scythe? Part of me wonders if it's just Seth with a weird spelling. But anyway. So he's been hired by Studio 8 to adapt the comic series called Black, which explores the idea what if only black people had superpowers. They want this to be a franchise, so they're developing the IP, and they're also developing a follow-up comic called Black AF, America's Sweetheart, which has a female lead. So that's like the female sort of spin-off of Black. So they're clearly hoping to maybe get that into a movie as well at some point, I imagine. The series comes from co-creator writer Kwanzaa Osayefo, I think I'm saying that right, and co-creator designer Tim Smith III and artist Jamal Eagle. So Black looks at an increasingly polarised world where, after inexplicably surviving being gunned down by police due to racial profiling, young Kareem Jenkins joins a secret underground group of black superheroes and must choose between personal revenge or collective action to achieve real and lasting change.
Cool. I feel like I heard about something really similar to this in the last few weeks.
On this show?
Yeah, but maybe I'm just...
Are you thinking of the John Ridley...
Maybe I am. Maybe that's just where I'm getting it from.
Yeah, it's not the exact same as that. This is way more specific and...
It is. Just something about it's reminding me of something we spoke about.
It's definitely,
that's the most logical guess.
It's exploring some similar themes for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's an interesting idea, though.
Yeah, definitely.
So, no, I can't fault it. So that's Black. I wonder if they'll add anything to the title to make it more searchable.
Yeah. I would kind of hope so. Just because, Black movie, 20 whatever year it is. That's way too much effort.
So next up, Netflix has won the auction for Failsafe, a Vault Comics title. Was that Vault Comics was the Viking one?
Yeah, the Viking one, yeah.
Oh man, Vault Comics, look at them getting movies made. Vault Comics title that will be scripted by Black Panther co-writer Joe Albert Cole and is produced by Michael B. Jordan, who of course was in Black Panther. He's producing it, he might star in it, he will basically make that choice himself once he's read the script. Because he's producing, so he gives a lot of say in this. He's basically...
He does what he wants.
Yeah. So the protagonist is John Ravane, a legendary insurgent hunter who thought he had executed his last nanotech enhanced super soldier in a personal battle that included the kidnap of his daughter. A decade later, it becomes clear that sleeper agents scattered around the country are activating in an attempt to overtake New York City, and the government leader who pressed him into duty last time has been exposed as corrupt.
Sounds alright.
We got nanotech soldiers, we got presumably Michael B. Jordan being a badass if he takes the role. Comic is written by F.J. DeSanto and Todd Farmer. So that's Failsafe. So yeah, so some non-Marvel DC comic stuff in the works for movies. Makes sense. I feel like the rates are probably a lot cheaper than the Marvel and DC stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, I say cheaper. They don't have to pay for the rates.
They're obtainable.
Yes, they own the rights because Warner owns DC and Disney owns Marvel, so they don't pay for rights. But the point I'm making is that these things are up for grabs. People can go and buy these, so makes sense. Makes sense they're looking for the next franchise. You never know what's going to be the big hit, do you? So
no, you don't. You got to try.
Alright, that'll take us on to the general news section, part 1. Of course, we have halftime trailers to look forward to. But first up, Paramount Pictures has begun propulsion on the 4th Star Trek film. I'm just laughing at the way the article... It's making the pun. It's making a pun. What do you want from it? Anyway, so S.J. Clarkson is negotiating to direct it, which would make her the first ever female director of a Star Trek movie. So we got that going. And we have some plot details. Now, at first I read this as it's a prequel, But having read other sort of blurbs and like interviews with Abrams or whoever throughout, I don't think it actually is, because the reason why I thought it was a prequel is because Chris Hemsworth is going to be in it as Kirk's father.
Yeah.
But
man, I mean, you got him for 5 minutes in that first movie. You've got to make the most of it, right?
And now he's a star. We need to get him back. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm thinking I'm actually leaning towards this is actually going to be a time travel story now.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm thinking it's going to be doing with it.
That makes sense. I mean, wouldn't be the first time.
Well, because I feel like if it's a prequel, you'd be losing all your cast from the previous ones.
No, that's true.
In which case, I mean, it's technically Star Trek because Hemsworth was in that first one, but
yeah, I mean, unless contracts are up and whatever, and they want to just take it in a different direction, this is their opportunity.
I think there were options for another one. I don't think their contracts were out. But there was comments from before and after that make it sound like it's going to be more like no, the rest of the cast are still there. So I'm thinking time travel. Possibly flashbacks, but I feel like if you want to really make a big deal that he's in the movie, I think it's going to be a time travel.
Probably, and we haven't done time travel yet in these movies. No, I mean I know it was an element in the first one, but not our crew.
Yeah, and I love Beyond. Easily the best of the three, I thought.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm hoping that this can continue that momentum.
Yeah. Does it have any of this director's previous work listed there?
I believe not a whole lot of. She just did a movie called Collateral with Carey Mulligan for Netflix, but she's done a lot of TV stuff in the past. She's done like episodes of Jessica Jones and stuff. So she's not done a lot of movies. So she's kind of just.
Oh, that's cool. I've just I'd like to know what some of the previous work is when we get to these franchises that I'm invested in to some extent.
All right, next up, speaking of J.J. Abrams, he gives some updates on Overlord, which was suspected to be the next Cloverfield movie. However, he has now confirmed that it's not a Cloverfield movie. It's just the movie set in World War II. It's got sci-fi twist to it. It's not Cloverfield, so don't expect monsters, I guess is what he's saying. But he did also confirm that there is a 4th Cloverfield movie in the works, and it's for theaters. So,
for now, at least.
Take that we will. Yeah, Overlord is a sci-fi movie set in World War II. He shows some footage of American paratroopers who, on the eve of D-Day, are dropped behind enemy lines in a critical mission and begin to realise there is more going on in this Nazi-occupied village than simply a military operation. And we've heard, I think from previous synopsis, it's like there's genetically enhanced like weapons and soldiers and stuff. So it's a sci-fi story.
Yeah. Not my favourite type of sci-fi to do in, World War II genetically. It's okay. It's not my favourite.
It depends how far they go with it. I could be into it. We'll see what it's doing. But actually, this rolls right into the next topic. So the director of Overlord, Julius Avery, is actually already signed on to do another film with J.J. Abrams after this movie. It's a superhero film called The Heavy. And the project is billed as a subversive superhero movie written by Daniel Casey. The plot has been kept secret, so we can't really talk about what it is.
That's because it's a Cloverfield movie.
I don't think that's a Cloverfield movie.
Hey, look. Yeah, what'd you do with Cloverfield next? Throw in some superheroes, why not? Tell me it won't happen.
I mean, it could be, but I don't know.
I don't think either. I just want to play into the running joke that every time they announce one and give no details, it's a Cloverfield movie.
There you go. Next up, here's something that I've seen no one talk about, and it feels like a big deal to me. I don't know, maybe no one else.
Well, I said that about Chicken Run 2, so screw you.
This is more important than Chicken Run 2.
I'll be the judge of that.
Hasbro has bought Power Rangers.
What? Sure. I feel like I've seen this. I mean, want to use somewhere important, but I'm kind of blindsided by this.
Yeah, I'm going to take that shock as, yes, Peter, you're right, this is more important than Chicken Run 2.
No. Shock does not equate importance. It equates shock.
It doesn't have to, but in this case it does.
Are you sure?
Sure, yes.
Because I feel like I would have seen something about this.
I saw this on multiple sites.
Huh.
Reputable sites, at that.
Huh.
This wasn't bleeding cool, right?
Alright, okay. That's the only time you're allowed to name them, when you give them shit.
When I'm making fun of them, I know. Hasbro has reached a deal to acquire Haim Saban's flagship, Saban's Power Rangers. I feel like they need that separate Saban afterwards, but hey, whatever. The property, along with a lot of other stuff they've got as well, not just Power Rangers, and a cash deal and stock pack value at 522 million. What's interesting is that in 2019, they spent 22.25 million, basically on getting the rights to doing a toy line starting in 2019.
Right.
Right. Did I say 2019 the first time I met them?
You did.
But yeah, well, last year they spent this money on getting the rights to do the toy line in 2019 for however long, right? And now they've just acquired all of it. So basically, they got that 22 million discount off this because they'd already agreed that. So, but regardless, they now own Power Rangers, and I think what's interesting to me about this, beyond just the obvious things in terms of movies, is that Hasbro have their own movie studio now. They have Allspark Studios who make movies. Now, I do think this means that if there is more Power Rangers movies, it will not be a continuation of the previous one.
It won't. That's dead. I mean,
yeah,
it was kind of dead anyway, given the box office. But
it's a shame because I was pleasantly surprised by that movie as a fan of the show growing up. But I do think this guarantees there'll be another try at some point because they have their own movie studio. They're doing like things I've never heard of, the Hasbro, in the next few years.
I hope this doesn't affect the rights of like the comics and stuff.
I would hope so too because the Boom comic by Kel Higgins and then Go-Go Power Rangers by whoever's writing that are both pretty good. Yeah,
the minis have been good. Yeah, it's across the board. They've been putting some good stuff out, and I imagine they're okay. At least until the contract for this, for the license is there, then they'll have to negotiate with Hasbro as to whether they can get it again.
I wonder if Hasbro has any deals with other publishers for comics related to, because Transformers is at IDW, right?
Yeah.
So it could shift to IDW if they want to to have all their stuff in one place.
It could. I mean, it might be beneficial for them just to leave it, assuming the deal is reasonable in the first place.
Yeah, don't know. But if it does get taken away from Boom, I will kind of be like, well, you know what, now you know how Dark Horse feels. Because every time these big deals happen, Dark Horse loses a comic property.
Yeah, it's funny, I used to think of Dark Horse as the one that, built on properties.
It was.
Properties, yeah. But now I associate that way more with IDW now.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of spread out, because I feel like IDW do have the Transformers, they have the Turtles, they have the Star Trek and the Doctor Who, and then Boom has the Power Rangers and your wrestling and a few other things.
I think they've got Planet of the Apes.
There you go. Dark Horse still have Buffy and Angels, so they can have that. The hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, of course, inspired that comic book.
It's fine. They're putting out original content, so it's all good.
They are. Basically, the Hellboy well's dried up, so now Jeff Lemire's making the Black Hammer well, and that's going to have to keep
I'm down.
Going.
So it's only a matter of time until we get movies or TV shows of that.
Yeah, I can see TV shows.
Yeah.
I can see a TV show happening with Black. I think it'll be another couple of years, though. I think it'll be waiting until there's a few other trades worth of material stacked up.
I think it's only a matter of time.
But I agree. Yeah, it's a matter of time. So, yeah, but I thought this was worth... Even though it's not directly a movie thing, I still think that was worth mentioning.
Sure. You just wanted to see my reaction, didn't you?
No, I genuinely cared about this. It's more important than Chicken Run 2.
It's not.
It is. I wonder if this includes stuff like VR Troopers and... It doesn't, because I didn't name those specifically.
Yeah, I would assume those sorts of things are what's included.
Imagine we get a VR Troopers movie. Or Masked Rider with a talking car and bike. I'm in for all of it. Give me it all.
Have Hasbro made anything through Allspark yet? I know there's stuff in production. We haven't seen it yet.
Not yet. They just set it up. I think Bumblebee's the first one that's coming out, and then everything else. They've got 3 other things all in the works. They've got a He-Man movie in the works. They've got a what was it called? Mad? I don't know whether there was one that was 3 letters, and I never heard of it.
Yeah, I know the one you're on about. Yeah. I hadn't heard of it either.
Then there was a 4th one. They had 4 movies in the works that they'd announced.
Cool.
Oh, I think it was a G.I. Joe. I think it was a new G.I. Joe movie.
Of course, there's a G.I. Joe movie.
Yeah, I still think they're working with Paramount for distribution, although I'll laugh if they eventually go elsewhere, because that's kind of what happened with Marvel, is Paramount were the distributors, and then Disney bought Marvel, and it's like, well, we don't need you anymore, because now we're Disney, we can distribute ourselves.
They were pretty respectful about it at first, though. They didn't even put the Disney logo at the front.
Which still don't, to be fair.
No, they don't. No.
In fact, because of the contract, they still put the Paramount logo at the start of the next couple, but until the contract was, would have run out, even though they had nothing to do with making it.
Yeah, no,
So
they're pretty respectful about it, to be fair to them.
that's because they're laughing at the bank. Like, we'll put the Paramount logo.
fine.
We'll put the Paramount logo at the start of Avengers, but that almost $2 billion. Yeah, we're taking all that.
Yeah. They don't need to put the Disney name on it because, well, they've got the hard cold cash.
It's the same with Star Wars. You don't get a Disney logo at the start of that.
No, don't need it.
I'll admit, I still think it's weird. There's no Fox logo at the start though.
I know it is. It's always. I mean, it's always going to be weird.
If I was Kathleen Kennedy, what I would have done for all the new movies is I'd have the Disney logo, but I'd have the camera come down as if it's the Fox logo, and I'd have a knockoff drum beat playing.
Look, once Disney buy Fox, it'll be fine.
That's true. Once they buy Fox, they can put a Fox logo.
You just go back and it's we can have special editions.
And the only difference is the Fox logo at the start.
Worth paying for. That is truly a special edition.
Well, that's it. If they want to mess around with Last Jedi a bit, feel free. Go for it.
Not taking the bait.
Oh dear. I don't think editing would save that movie, to be honest, though. Let's be honest.
Doesn't need saving.
Oh. Alright. Trailer time. We got trailers now. First up. Now, this was a trailer from last week, and it's probably the one that people who may have been disappointed there was no news last week. This is the one that were probably disappointed they didn't get to see us talk about. So here we are. So here it is. The full trailer for Venom. You got to see Venom. You got a gist of the plot. You got to see Tom Hardy, and he's been the reporter.
I mean, undeniably, this is a better trailer than the last one in terms of telling me what the movie is.
Oh sure, yeah. It tells you what the plot is.
I'm not saying I give a shit about the movie or that it looks like a good movie, but it is a better trailer.
Also, symbiote. Just for the record, symbiote.
I actually disagree on this.
Oh God, no! You're the worst. You are actually the worst.
I mean, first start, both are perfectly accepted in scientific communities. Symbiote is typically the British way of saying it, typically, and we picked up the symbiote because of all the American TV and movies. Also, from a linguistics point of view, it makes way more sense because it comes from bio, as in biology, so it makes way more sense to do it that way.
Piss off.
I'm sorry, I'm just saying.
Symbiote.
Nah.
It rolls. It just rolls better. It's better.
Yeah. I accept it. It's fine. People say it, but it's not the one I say.
You're the worst. Alright. My reaction to this trailer was basically, I didn't realise that I could have multiple levels of indifference. I thought by its nature indifference only had one level, because it's indifference. It's, I don't care about this, and that's whatever. But somehow, I am extra indifferent about this. And I think it's because I'm supposed to have an opinion on it. I'm supposed to care one way or the other. Either be really, excited for a Venom movie, or be really angry because they're doing like a standalone Venom movie without Spider-Man. And all I am is... it exists. Every time it comes up, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the thing. It exists. I always forget it's happening.
Yeah. I just don't care that this is a movie, and I don't even know if I'm going to bother watching this one.
I'll need to review it. So you.
Yeah, but I can get out of that. Maybe if it's on with something else that I actually want to see, and I'll go, well, I'm at the cinema already.
Even Tom Hardy and all his might can't muster an ounce of excitement for this.
Do you know what? The only thing that made me laugh, and it's not because of the trailer. It's at the end, where the Venom mask comes down and says, "We are Venom."
I don't know if I'd call it a mask, but yeah, sure.
Sure, whatever, but whatever. And all I think is, "We are the Flash." That's in my head when I'm watching this trailer. I'm chuckling to myself.
No, I was not thinking that. No, I'm just also, for anyone who heard, the mask comes down, they're probably thinking the budget's not as good as it maybe should have been. It's just
it actually looks alright.
It's just a plastic mask that comes down with Venom's face on it.
Look, I couldn't think of the right words to explain it. The stuff comes around his face. It
Yeah.
sounds way worse.
The symbiote envelops his face and makes the Venom face.
Sure.
Notice how I said
But
symbiote.
I did, and that's why I was very non-committal in my answer. But the point is, I mean, the Venom itself looks okay.
Yeah, it's fine. The CG's not blowing me away. The actual plot of the movie, though, where he's really turned into an anti-hero, where like, Eddie Brock's like, no, we don't kill people, right? And he's like, we can do anything we want to. You know, he's got a voice constantly in his head, you know, being all demonic. So it's, you know, it's like it's full on like anti-hero kind of thing, where Eddie's going to like sort of struggle with them, so that he'll only kill the bad people, maybe, and that'll be that.
That's the point for the end of the movie, right? It's like, all right, fine. It's
Yeah.
well, it can go either way. It'll be fine. Right, I've got control. We're only killing the bad ones, or it'll go, screw it, let's go evil.
I feel like this falls into the category because you want to have a standalone movie. They can't just be a villain; they have to be an anti-hero. I will be shocked if this ends with no, he's a full-on villain at the end. I will be shocked if that's how it ends.
I would too, but they're the only two, options that I can even think of.
Yeah, it bugs me.
I just don't know why it exists. Who wants this movie?
I don't know. I see the odd person on Twitter say they think it actually looks good, but like, no one's excited. It's like Gambit. I mean, don't get me wrong. People like Venom more than Gambit. I think not that Gambit doesn't have fans. Gambit does have fans.
No, it's got Channing Tatum, and that's it.
No, there are Gambit fans. There's fans of the animated series who love Gambit, but I don't even think Gambit fans necessarily want a Gambit standalone movie.
No,
And
this is just.
I just like I'm a huge fan of. I'm trying to think. I love Beast Boy from Teen Titans, but I don't want a Beast Boy standalone movie.
Why would you?
I love the Riddler. I don't want a Riddler standalone movie.
Huh?
The Riddler's funny because Batman's playing off of him because Batman's trying to solve his riddles. You take Batman out of the equation and Riddler's just he's a dude in a green suit.
Pretty much.
Like,
Do you know the worst place though? I don't even think this trailer looks that bad. Like the movie's not. It doesn't look atrocious.
it looks dated.
Really mundane.
It looks like it was made in 2002.
I can't argue with that.
And that's not a joke because the original Raimi Spider-Man movie came out in 2002, but it feels like it's of that era in a bizarre way.
It does, yeah.
I'm almost expecting Tobey Maguire to be the one that swings in to try and save the day at the end.
That'd be a hell of a moment if that is true.
He comes in. By the way, I saw some great. I won't go too deep into it because I don't want to get into Infinity War spoilers. But I saw some great photoshops this week of the post-credit scene with different things on the device. That's all I'll say. And one of them was Tobey Maguire making a goofy face, and it just said "pizza time," and it absolutely killed me. It absolutely killed me.
I need to go and find these once we're done.
That also another one was the Inhumans logo. Which really cracked me up. So anyway, Venom doesn't look like a terrible movie. It just looks completely inconsequential and doesn't need to exist. Like I feel like with this movie, they had to prove to me why this was a good idea. Like, oh, you had this great idea, because that's possible. Here's the thing, right? So in comics right now, Tom King took Mr. Miracle, a character who I didn't dislike. He's fine whenever he pops up in like a New Gods related thing, but he took him and is doing a series right now that's running 12 issues. We're about 7 or 8 issues in, and it's basically like justified its own existence as one of the best things out right now, to the point where if it wouldn't shock me in a year to find out Mr. Miracle's getting a standalone movie based on this comic.
Well, everyone else at DC is.
That's very true. But the point I'm making is that it took it and like proved, no, I had an idea for this character to make it, his own thing that carries its own story, carries its own book. Whereas
this is just like, I guess we should do a Venom movie.
It's a cash grab. It's, hey, we've got a right to this. Venom's kind of popular. We can.
Do you know what? Like I said, this trailer. It's not an awful looking trailer or movie. It's just so mundane that if this didn't have the Venom name to it, let's just say everything was identical, but it wasn't a name that we were familiar with.
Instead of turning
this would have been slashed for time this week.
Yeah, well, maybe not. I don't know. Possibly. Yeah, if it wasn't Venom, then let's just say it transformed into a generic monster and it wasn't Venom's like copyright. Like,
yeah.
It would just look like a really mediocre thing. But why is Tom Hardy in this? Like, he picks better movies than this. Why is he in this? But hey, that's Venom. Sticking with the comic book movies, though, we also got the full trailer for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
We did.
And you know, there's some fun stuff in this. I think what I liked about this trailer, for the most part, was it seems like it's going to really play again with the size changing in the mid fights and like using that in the middle of action sequence, but this time also going big as well as small. The highlight of the trailer for me, I think, is towards the end, where they're in a miniature van. There's like 3 of them in a van, and then they enlarge the van when they're underneath another car, and then the car just flips, and I'm like, oh, that's fun. That is playing with your concept for fun, inventive action scenes that none of the other Marvel movies can do. So I appreciate that.
That's true. That's pretty good. Highlight for me is the giant ant playing the drums, because why wouldn't it be?
I'll be honest. I don't know if it's just because it was such a weird visual. My mind didn't catch that the first time I watched it.
I had to rewind. I was like,
yeah.
Sorry, did I just see what I think I saw?
And it was when I was watching it again for this, where I'm like, was that an ant playing the drums?
It's so absurd. I kind of love it.
You know,
that's a real good flow to the trailer, though.
It did have a good flow. There was a lot of decent little jokes in there. It seems like his cousin, you know, Pina and that crew. It seems like they're actually doing like security now. Like they're actually like, you know, stopping people from breaking into houses. That seems to be what their gig is now, and they're going to help with whatever they're doing. We've heard that this is set before Infinity War. Just if that was confusing anyone, it's like, oh wait, is this in between the 2 Avengers movies? That's kind of weird. I like Evangeline Lilly a lot. Paul Rudd's not half bad. Lawrence Fishburne's in there this time. I think my complaints for this would be the villain feels like it's going to be really generic again. I mean, cooler than Yellow Jacket, but that's not saying a whole
immediately lot. Going for it is it's a different power.
That's true.
Just being the same as Ant-Man.
She seems to be basically be Ruby from this season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but she can actually go through solid objects. She phases through things, But that's okay. I mean, it's not exciting though. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, she's the generic villain we're going to fight this movie.
Pretty much. But I mean, Paul Rudd's fun.
Apparently, Rudd had more input in the script, I think, this time.
Cool, I'm down for that.
So that could lead to some better jokes.
I feel like in general it should be a better movie, just because, you know, the last one was kind of this hodgepodge of this is left over from here and now picking up the piece. This is this is what the movie was always meant to be. Yeah,
it was passed from one director to another, and it was kind of strange. Do you know what I think? I think Ant-Man, oddly, it's a funny movie in the sense that it's definitely one of the weaker Marvel movies, and the villain is like maybe the worst. Maybe Malekith alone is the only one that is worse than Yellow Jacket. But I think it oddly holds up because most of the movie is just let's have a fun comedy with good character moments and good jokes, and because of that, it is actually really easy to watch again, despite the fact that the main villain's kind of garbage.
Yeah, if you watch it as a comedy rather than as a Marvel superhero movie, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah, and if it's just about Paul Rudd proving that he wants to get his daughter back and proving that he's a good enough father, that stuff works, and it's fine. So if they go with down that path again, and it works as a comedy, but with admittedly fun-looking action sequences from what I'm seeing in the trailer. So I wouldn't say I'm like super pumped for it, but I think it looks like a fun time.
I think it's kind of like, you know, we literally just had Avengers, and then I get a trailer, and I'm like, oh my god, another one already. Yeah, it's because they're just not spaced out this year, though.
There's a really big gap between this and then Captain Marvel, which is not until March or February, March next year. So
February, March, It's, you know, like I said, it's the same amount per year as, you know, last year. It's just it feels weird when they're all clumped. I'm like, oh my god, we're already looking at the next one.
I do feel like Ant-Man could benefit from being November. I do feel like it'd benefit from being spread out a little bit.
I don't think, because, you know, we're talking about how it's kind of a comedy. I don't think it's a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, that's fair. Here's what I think actually though. I'm kind of excited for the 1-2 punch of you know how this year like Panther and Avengers was really close. I'm excited that next year Captain Marvel and Avengers 4 are really close because they're more related, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a nice thing to see Captain Marvel and then 2 months later beginning of Avengers.
Yeah, Ant-Man's a weird one because obviously, you know, say it's before Infinity War, so it's like, okay, well we'll just take this detour while we wait for the next stuff. Whereas Captain Marvel is actually a period piece. It's, you know, it's set in the past, so it kind of works more naturally.
Do you know what I think's funny about this though is that both Ant-Man movies have came right after like the biggest of the phase.
Yeah.
Like you know, Age of Ultron and then Infinity War. It's like no, right after that Ant-Man comes out just to kind of like come in for scraps, basically, after the
Pretty
big
much.
team-up movies happened.
I do hope they have as good a marketing campaign as the first one, because I did appreciate that.
So no, and I'm excited. Given that we have heard of the casting of his daughter getting aged up for Avengers 4, I'm hopeful that we actually get some mini Ant-Man action, because she ends
Yeah.
up with powers in the comics as well, if I do recall. I can't remember what she calls herself though.
No, it was only in the last couple of years, right?
Yeah. But hey, regardless, Ant-Man and the Wasp. And hey, they've got a co-female lead in a movie.
Mm.
So
Headlining at that.
took a bit of time. We don't get a solo female lead, of course, until March. But
Hey, they're getting there. They're getting there. It's the one thing DC have on them.
it took them 20 movies to get to like a half one though.
Yeah.
Took DC what, 4 to get to the full lady lead.
Yeah. Four.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you know. So it's the one bright point we can say, DC did this better, and then we just
It's
cry
also their
ourselves.
best movie. So
And then we cry ourselves to sleep because that's all we have we can throw at them. All we have. Alright, next up we get a trailer for Robin Hood, starring Taron Egerton from Kingsman 1 and 2, and Jamie Foxx is in there. So what did you think of the Robin Hood trailer?
I think this movie looks absolutely atrocious, and I need to see it.
So, two things. Now, first of all, I kind of remembered that, Egerton was Robin Hood. That's who he was cast as. But the trailer kind of like tricks. He says like, "Oh, there's Robin Hood's out there, and he's got a mask on in the hood, and so it's almost like a twist in the trailer. Oh no, I'm Robin Hood, and he even hints at it at one point before he reveals himself to the love interest. See, as he was jumping around with his bow and arrow, and he's got his hood up and his mask, all I could hear in my head was the Arrow music. Because
It's so similar, isn't it?
that's what he looks like. It looks like Arrow just happens to be in like, old England.
No, it's true, because I put this trailer on for my girlfriend. I was like, "Hey, guess what movie this is?" Because it's Robin Hood. I was like,
Yeah.
it's something that she could get to. And first thing she was like, "Is Arrow getting a movie?" I was like, "No, it's not.
That
Thank
is,
God. I
it's
don't
le-
think my liver could take a feature length."
it is legitimately. It looks like Arrow. It just it's not in a city in present times, but he looks like Green Arrow from
Do
the
you know
show.
what? I saw people talking about it, and they got up like the pictures of the the costumes and stuff, and it's like a machine sewn hood. Like they haven't even tried to hide it. It's like you could just went into a store and bought it.
This was garbage. That's absolutely atrocious.
It does. It looks very much inspired by Richie's King Arthur from last year.
Which is bizarre because I didn't do that well.
I know.
But then again, I think this is the thing though. Movies like this take at least 2 years to make. I think when
they were banking on that doing well.
Yeah, I think when King Arthur failed miserably, they all started to get very scared.
Oh yeah, they are terrified. This is going to bomb, and I know it's going to be awful, but I need to see this mess for myself. I care more about this movie than I do about Venom. I have an opinion on this where I'm like, I want to see this atrocious mess.
I don't know if I can say that. I don't. I guess I care more about it, and I'm more like horrified by the thought of having to see it.
Yeah, no. I just want to see the atrocity.
It's just like garbage. This is the sort of thing that our viewers are going to want me to go see so I can review it, aren't they?
They are. We will.
Patreon goal.
No, the amount of shite you talk Matt into seeing based on the fact that our viewers want to see it.
That does not happen that much anymore. I am way more lenient with new releases.
More lenient, but not entirely. So,
Name one thing this year he's been forced to see that he didn't want to.
you had to really talk him into I Kill Giants.
He loved that movie.
Yeah, but you had to talk him into it.
Not that much. He just didn't know about it, so I was like, "Hey, let's do this movie. It looks good." And then he came out of it rating it higher than I did because it was mini Thor girl with a hammer.
It's actually.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it's got frost giants. It's got it talks about all the realms. It's full of that shit.
Man, I definitely need to see this movie.
Full of that stuff. It's great. So yeah, Robin Hood looks absolute garbage. It looks like generic. We're trying to be cool. Like it's got that thing where it wants to have like modern sensibilities and jokes, but it's set in like the past, so it just feels like so out of place and it doesn't click
Yeah,
at all.
it looks awful.
It looks
It
like
really
garbage. Looks like garbage. Anyway, next up, Teen Titans Go to the movies. Full trailer for this. And it really depresses me that the best looking DC movie right now is Teen Titans Go to the movies.
But by far as well. It's not even a competition.
This looks hilarious. It's basically out Deadpooling Deadpool to the point where there's an entire extended joke in this trailer about Deadpool because they run into Deathstroke and they're like, is this Deadpool? He's like, I'm not Deadpool. Why does everyone compare me to Deadpool? I came first. He's copying me.
Oh, I'm a big fan of Teen Titans Go anyway. I think it's fantastic.
I've never seen it. I saw the teaser trailer, a few months back.
This is the comedy you can expect in the entire show. Just it's,
I'm
you
up for this.
It's like 10 minutes of episodes of this.
I am so down for this movie now. The plot of this being that Robin they go to see a movie and there's a trailer. This is all in the trailer, but there's a trailer at the movies, and it's like, for years you've seen him with Batman, his best friend, his loyal ally, and in between every line, Dick's like sitting there, he's like, oh, finally a movie about me, it's happening, and he's like, coming this summer, Alfred, and it's like Alfred with a broomstick, like beating up bad guys.
Time to sweep the floor with you.
So this plot of the movie is that they're sick of the fact that they've not had movies, and then they even poke fun at the Green Lantern movie because they see John Stewart. He's like, "Oh, you don't have a movie?" He's like, "Well, there was a Green Lantern movie, but we don't talk about that."
And then they're like, "Oh, we need a nemesis," and that's how you get movies. And as they do that, it pops to a poster. It's the BVS poster.
Ah, yeah.
But it's Batman v Joker, Yawn of Justice. Pulling no punches here.
I am so into this, and I mean, I am looking forward to Deadpool 2. I'm sure I'll enjoy Deadpool 2. This is higher on my anticipation list now.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it's Teen Titans meta humor.
This just looks good. I'm so happy this exists. I really am.
I feel like it relatively kind of snuck up out of nowhere as well.
Yeah, this is out in the end of summer, I think.
Yeah, like I feel like, given that it's an animated movie based on the Teen Titans, even if it is Teen Titans Go, which is like a funnier spin on it, I feel like, oh yeah, there was talk of the movie happening, but then all of a sudden there's trailers, and I'm like, yeah, no one's talking about it. It's not like other comic book movies where everyone's talking about the news of it every week. It's just kind of, here it is.
Sure. It just like
it exists.
Oh, it happened.
So now Teen Titans Go to the movies is appealing to, as a DC fan and as someone who's thrilled by the fact that they're going to make fun of the bad movies. As well as poking fun at Marvel. I am all for this in every way. Next up, we got another animated movie trailer for Smallfoot. Channing Tatum's in this, he voices the main character. And the concept of this is that there's a society of Yetis, aka Bigfoots, who have a legend of the Smallfoot. And Channing Tatum's Bigfoot sees one of these Smallfoots, which is a human being. And the plot of the movie is him travelling out into man's world to prove the existence of Smallfoots.
Small feet, surely. Small
feet, sure. Well, no, because well, this is a weird thing. We don't have plural for big feet or Bigfoot because we don't have multiple Bigfoot. There's only maybe one, right?
No, that's true. Maybe it's like sheep.
Unless it's like
Smallfoot. It's just Smallfoot. It's just Bigfoot. It's just Smallfoot. That is the plural.
I feel like if there's multiple, and this is probably why they're doing it in the movie, because in the movie they refer to themselves as a Yeti, or the character screams Yeti when he sees them.
Yeah.
Because Yeti can just plural to Yetis. But you never hear anyone saying big feet. There's a group of big feet.
That's true, you don't.
Which is why I'm not saying small feet.
No, it's true. Joe is quite amusing about this. So I saw the name of this trailer. And it popped up as this animated movie, and I thought what this was going to be is it was going to be, the smallest Bigfoot in the village, like that sort of thing. Yeah. And then it took me a minute. I was like, oh, Smallfoot are people.
Yeah, I think that's actually kind of an interesting, fun little concept. Because you see that there's like these conspiracy nuts who have got like a secret club because they believe the Smallfoot exists in the
yeah.
So there's some fun plays on it. I don't know if the movie looks good per se. Like,
I don't know. It looks all right.
the humor feels very typical, but I have to admit, I think the core concept of it is kind of inspiring to me. I like the
Yeah,
idea.
I will say I did get a proper chuckle when there's he scares the guy and
Yeah,
he passes out and he taps him on the cheek and just knocks his tooth out and then just drops it back in his mouth.
yeah, that's kind of funny. I like that they can't understand each other. You know, the human just hears roars, but he's trying to speak to him, and then like the Yeti just hears like these weird gobbledygook
High
noises.
pitched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just playing with some things. I don't know if the movie itself will be that great, but I do like the concept. If nothing else, they sold me on a concept. But but with these animated movies, it sometimes can go just ultra kiddie, and it's not necessarily going to work for anyone over a certain age. But
Yeah, that's true.
but that's Smallfoot, and that's an interesting one. Next up, we got a trailer for the remake of Superfly.
Yes.
And basically, it's a gang crime story. Eventually, there's a bigger cartel wanting to take over the city, and they must fight for their.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm not into it at all. There's a lot of good names in there, like Michael K. Williams is in there.
Yeah.
But bunch of good actors pop up in this, but it's just not the type of story I'm particularly excited about.
It took me a minute then because I was like, wait, what's this again? When we started getting to this show, I was like, Superfly, what's that one? And I was like, oh, it's the gang one.
Yeah.
That's why I'm struggling to remember it because I'm just like, I'm so uninterested.
Yeah.
It doesn't look anything like wrong with it. I'm sure people will enjoy this.
I think for me, it took too long to get to the point where we see that he's a good person, because obviously there's a point where a random bystander gets shot and he runs up and just hands like a wad of cash. No, get her to the hospital now. Like, he cares. And it's like, okay, that's a good little moment. But the trailer spends like 90 seconds, it's a good minute and a half before we get to that point where it's just, oh, look at how powerful we are. We have all this money and guns and drugs and stuff. And all that stuff just kind of makes me bored. I'm not into it. So.
Yeah, mine too.
So that's Superfly. Next up, Distorted is a film starring Christina Ricci, who I've not seen in a while, actually. And it makes me kind of sad to see like she's in this relatively low budget looking movie. It feels like a really small film.
It looks like a cheap thriller, doesn't it?
It does. Her and her husband move into this new like apartment complex. Not a building per se. It looks like more of a sort of like
estate.
Yeah, so it looks like a sort of private like estate, yeah, with a bunch of different houses in it. But basically, the movie's about this. There seems whoever runs this estate is doing experiments on them by like giving them like flash imagery and like subliminal messages all the time, and then they become paranoid and they try and look into it, and that seems to be the movie. When I read, because sometimes when I get these trailers, there'll be like a little blurb next to it, and I'll be like, oh, couple move in and there's weird experiments going on. Someone's trying to like manipulate them in their apartment complex, and I'm like, oh, okay, this could be interesting. And then I watch it, and it just feels kind of generic in the way it's portraying these things.
It does.
Not a lot of style, and like you say, it looks kind of cheap.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, because you feel kind of, it's like, oh man, you used to be in big movies, or bigger movies at least.
Yeah, not the biggest, but reasonable.
Yeah. Admittedly, I still know more for Casper than I do anything else, but...
That's fair.
He's a friendly ghost, you know.
I do know.
He's the friendliest ghost you ever did know.
Wait, are we doing this?
I don't remember the rest of the lyrics, so I'm tapping out here, but...
Okay, good.
But that's I just wanted to do that bit at the very least. Stinky, stretchy, and fat, so I just wanted to see if I could remember the other three.
Oh, better than mine memory, tell you that.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I grew up in that movie. I enjoyed that.
I very much enjoy that movie, but it's been so long that I just don't remember it.
No, I always remember the first like big fight with the ghost where Bill Pullman is like, he gets fat, so he uses the vacuum cleaner to like suck them in.
Yeah.
I always remember that. It's a fun movie. Anyway, what a tangent. It's because Christina Ricci's in a movie. So next up, we had a trailer for A Simple Favor. Remind me what this one was, because I can't remember.
This is the Anna Kendrick one.
Ah, okay. Yeah, this is the one where I went, okay, Connor's going to be into this because it's Anna Kendrick.
I will watch it because it's Anna Kendrick. I'm not sure if I'm into the movie.
Yeah, it's her and Blake Lively, and it's very much a teaser trailer because it's very... there's a lot of like colours on the screen, and we keep seeing Blake Lively in the colours, but in between each one, it's like cutting between the other characters, including Anna Kendrick's, who are basically describing who Blake Lively is. Oh, she's this great person, she's my best friend, she's this, she's that, blah, blah. But then it gets kind of sinister. It's like, oh, she was into something none of us knew about. Like, we don't know her at all. So it feels like it's kind of a thriller. It may have a slight comedy edge to it. It's hard to tell.
It is hard to tell. I was really confused at the title of this because it comes up at the end. It's like, oh, what happened to Emily? And it lingers on that because it kind of builds the question mark.
Joe, I have to admit, I like that title better.
Yeah, and I was like, why is that not the title? Because then it does that and then just cuts to, oh, a simple favor. I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah.
What?
What happened to Emily is a much more interesting. Because she disappears, basically, and then they discover that she was into all these things, and she, I assume criminal activity or whatever.
Yeah, the usual, right?
But, yeah, I mean, I like Anna Kendrick. I'll give the trailer points for just purely being style and building some tone, even if I'm still not entirely sure.
I don't know if it's going to be a good movie or not.
Yeah, I've got no idea.
I couldn't even hazard a guess at this point because there's just, I mean, it could be great.
Yeah, it didn't look good, didn't look bad. It just,
but it has Anna Kendrick, so it has my attention.
Of course. Next up, Leave No Trace was the next film. Remember this one was. Obviously, I'm starting to struggle now.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me have a look. Oh, this is the father and the daughter who live out in the woods.
Ah, okay. Too many trailers this week. So yeah, Leave No Trace is about a father who basically has PTSD. He was a soldier, and now he wants to live off the grid. So he's been living in the middle of a national park with his daughter in essentially the wilderness. But eventually they get picked up. It's like, oh no, it's illegal to live in a public park. You can't do this. And they get taken in, and it seems to be about him adjusting, coming back to normal life. They get set up with a little house, and they're trying to be normal. And it's about her maybe learning that he's been kind of putting her through this weird life, despite the fact that he's been a good father otherwise. But he's kind of enforcing this off-grid lifestyle when she's missing out on a lot of chances, and that seems to be the
I do think of the movie. As a trailer, it shows a bit much because the first half of it, where you've got just till they get back and they get the interview with the daughter, and she's like, no, I was provided for, I'm good, and then the social worker basically says, hey, you need, it's not just about that, you need social interaction with people your own age as well.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that's kind of all I wanted from this trailer. Because then we go into, obviously, her adjusting to people with school and stuff. And it's like, and her dad going, oh, why are you wearing their clothes? I'm like, okay, I get it. But too much for a trailer?
Yeah, because there's a point in the trailer where she eventually says, whatever it is you're suffering from, I'm not suffering from it as well. So you shouldn't put me through this. And I'm like, okay, that seems like a great point for the movie to make at some, eventually. But it wasn't something I necessarily needed in the trailer. It doesn't look bad, though. It looks like an interesting drama.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I can't fault the actual movie.
All the blurbs that were coming up were telling us about how good the performance was, both from him and the girl. In fact, it's from the writer and director of Winter's Bone, and it compares her to... it's reminiscent of seeing Jennifer Lawrence for the first time in A Winter's Bone.
It's high praise.
Yeah, she's much younger than her, though, in this case, though. She's, 13, something like that?
Yeah. Give or take.
No, it looks like an interesting drama. Okay, next up, a couple of fun ones.
No forgetting what these ones are.
So we have It Came from the Desert. This is the second film to feature giant ants in the trailers this week. Which I'm going to be honest.
A range of emotions on this movie.
I'm going to be honest. I almost cut this and then didn't, just for the joke of having two movies with giant ants in it in the same week. That's literally what kept it in the trailer list, because sometimes I'll see these really low budget things, and if they're funny enough, I'll be like, oh, I'm keeping that. That'll be a laugh to bring up and talk about. Because it's a very much a B movie. You have the characters go off to this party, and then these giant ants that are attracted to ethanol, so booze, show up, and it's a lot of running from really bad CG ants who are big. They're like
huge.
They're like tiger sized to just compare it to an animal.
Yeah.
And they're running from ants, they're screaming, and it looks like there's a lot of bad acting, and that's the movie.
I will say, props to the opening bit. You know how these trailers, and you always have a bit like before the thing so they can put the ads.
Yeah.
It was a really inventive little animation, like infomercial sort of thing about the ants.
You're right. Yeah, that was actually kind of nice. I kind of
I
forgot
was
about that. Yeah.
I was kind of really into that bit, and then it cut back to just normal stuff. I was like, okay. The other thing I will say is, at least it's really upfront about what the hell it is, because it actually has a character talk about, hey, I don't watch these movies for a good movie. I'll watch it for some stunts and some stupid action.
Yeah, it's very meta in that sense.
I'm like, all right, fair enough. You're not pretending you're anything better than that.
What's funny though is that I'm not sure if it goes in that weird territory where it knows it's trying to be bad, so it sort of loses the charm of what it's doing. If that makes sense.
That is fair.
I think there's a risk of that, so it's hard to tell from the trailer alone. It focuses on a lot of the action, but hey, so it came from the desert, and then the final trailer of the week is called The Jurassic Games.
It's Hunger Games with dinosaurs.
Convicts, on death row specifically, are put into a game show in which is essentially a battle royale Hunger Games style thing with dinosaurs, hence the Jurassic Games, and people are watching it live all over the world. That is this movie, and we have them running from T-Rexes and all sorts. And do you know what I'll say about this? Is it's a low budget B movie, with CG and whatnot, but I have to admit, the dinosaurs didn't look as bad as I thought they were going to.
They didn't, given how many of them there are.
Yeah. They look better than the ants in the other one.
Oh, they did, yeah. They're not amazing, don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah,
but
obviously.
They're respectable, given what I assume the budget for this is.
You've got
I mean non-existent.
You've got a lot of really gruff convicts. Of course, the main one claims he was innocent. We see like a little flashback saying, my client, maintains his innocence. So obviously he's the hero of the movie. We're going to be rooting for him because he's the only one who's not actually a serial killer.
Which means he definitely doesn't win.
Well, I think he's the main character, so he probably will.
No, but I think that's the twist.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, that's it. All movie you're going, well, he's our character, so of course he's going to win, and then he doesn't.
I feel like in a movie like this, though, they're more likely to do the obvious thing than not.
Yeah, maybe I'm giving them too much credit.
I think you are. This is exactly the sort of movie I don't expect to be subverted on, but I mean, hey, maybe they'll surprise me.
I feel like it's just funnier if he just gets eaten by a T-Rex at the end of the movie.
Maybe that's the thing. So, as always, all of the links to these trailers are in the description, so check them out for yourself and see how you feel about them. But that does mean that we're going to pick our favourite. We always do this at the end of the week, or the end of the trailer section, as we pick what one was our favourite. A
lot of choice this week.
A lot of choice, and ultimately, it's not that hard.
It's not, is it?
It's Teen Titans Go to the Movies.
Easily.
It's easily the one that left me excited. Ant-Man and the Wasp was a pretty good trailer.
Yeah,
I think... Yeah, there's a few of them are okay, but nah, it's Teen Titans Go to the Movies, hands down.
Yeah, and if you watch this trailer and you like it, I do recommend checking out the show. It's a lot of fun, and it gets a lot of shit because of when it started, and just the concept of what it is. But it's really good.
What do you mean when it started? When did it start?
Oh, because it started just after Young Justice got cancelled, and people looked at it as the replacement. It's like, oh, they're giving us that instead.
I'll admit that probably upset me at the time. If I had been up to date with the show and then got that instead, that might have upset me.
Yeah, it put a lot of people off, even though the two had nothing to do with each other.
Yeah. But I think that's a fair to get the whiplash from that and be kind of miffed.
Yeah. People thought that Young Justice got cancelled because this was taking its place, but that's not really what happened.
Yeah, we're getting season 3.
We are.
Young Justice lives on. It's fine.
Exactly.
All right, back to the general news then, and we'll keep this relatively brisk, I think, but we'll see. So Sony's acquired Gideon Sterer's children's book, The Night Knights. The second Knights in that title has got a K at the front of it. So.
Oh, okay.
So the first
that
one
makes
doesn't.
Way more sense.
Yeah. So the Nighttime Knights, if you will.
Yes.
So the Night Knights. Ben Lustig and Jake Thornton writing the script. Illustrated by Corey Godby. The Night Knights was published this week by Abrams Books for Young Readers. So here's what it's about. Nighttime can be scary. Every bump, thump or scratch could be a monster lurking under the bed or in a closet. But if that's the case, then why haven't we ever seen a monster? You may think that's because monsters don't exist. But maybe monsters do exist. but so does something else. The Night Knights. And when night falls, they take their place, protecting us all from the terrors lurking in the dark.
Yeah, sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it having the sort of childish sort of tone to it if they want to go that route. It kind of depends how they tackle it.
Yeah.
I can almost see this being animated as well, actually, depending on what they want to do with it.
This could be one of the, we don't see them that much anymore, but this could be one of those hybrids. I can see it, like, the real world, visual, but the creatures and the knights are animated.
Yeah, I could see it working. I don't think I'm going to do that, but I could see that working.
Yeah, and then just a couple of real kids there.
Yeah, no, I could see it. All right, next up, Guillermo del Toro will see his scary stories to tell in the dark finally come to light thanks to E1 and CBS Films, which just announced that they will co-finance the film, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Andre Overdahl is going to direct the film, based on Alvin Schwartz's internationally best-selling book series Del Toro's producing. So it's going to happen, because he's not directing. If he says he's directing something, then we have to assume it's not happening until there's a trailer in our face. So, and even then, I still have my doubts.
Yeah, something could go wrong. So
it's adapted. Del Toro has adapted the script with Daniel and Kevin Hageman. So he did work in the script as well. So inspired by one of the most terrifying children's book series of all time, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark follows a group of young teens who must solve a mystery surrounding sudden and macabre deaths in their small town.
Yeah,
I'm kind of in for this. This is kind of your Stranger Things, Goonies, like kids dealing with like over the summer holidays. There's something going on, but I like the idea that in this case, like it's not like it. Well, there might be a supernatural thing at some point, but it feels like it's going to be a bit more them investigating the things that's happening rather than just
a bit more of a mystery.
Yeah, rather than just jumping to big scary clown.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what it feels like. Anyway, so that's kind of cool. Next up, we talked about this film a little bit ago. This is the Rear Window style film that Joe Wright is going to direct, called The Woman in the Window. But now we have Amy Adams has been cast in the lead role. So
strong choice.
There's he's got some name fuel attached to it. Based on a best-selling novel by A.J. Finn, Adams will play Anna Fox, the agoraphobic child psychologist who lives alone in her New York suburb. Afraid to leave home, she fills her day by watching film noir classics, and her interaction is mostly online. She spies on her neighbours like they do in the movie she loves. When she's like Rear Window, when she sees a crime take place in the house across the park, should she call the cops? She's got a problem with prescription drugs and wine consumption. It adds up to a Hitchcockian thriller. Right? Don't compare yourself to Hitchcock in your pitch, because it's not going to work out well for you.
You're just setting everyone up for disappointment.
Right? We get that it's a Rear Window knockoff. Don't point it out.
I think they're already doing that in the not in just in the pitch, but in the concept of she is probably a fan of that movie, given what they talk about there.
Probably. I'm curious to see what they do with that in terms of trying to separate it.
Joe Wright's the one that did Darkest Hour from last year, I think, if memory serves, and that was pretty well directed.
I can't remember. Did he not do Attack the Block? Is that who I'm thinking of?
I don't know, maybe.
I may be wrong. I'm going to check that. I want to know for sure. But yeah, so
my memory could be wrong on that one as well, though. So who knows?
I could be wrong. He did Pride and Prejudice in 2005. That's the first thing that comes up on IMDb. I'm completely off. I don't
know who you're thinking of.
Nah, he did Hannah, and he did. He did Pan. No, that was not a. Nah. He did do the Nosedive episode of Black Mirror.
That was pretty good.
Yeah. So who am I thinking of then?
Did he do Darkest Hour? Or did that not pop?
No, he did.
He did. Okay, thank God.
Yes.
Thought I was going crazy.
He did. But now I'm really curious as to who did Attack the Block and why I'm thinking Joe Wright had anything to do with it.
This could be anyone.
Joe Cornish. I knew it was a Joe.
Sure, close enough.
I wasn't completely mad about that. Oh no,
there's a Joe there.
And there's the new Doctor Who in the first image that popped up for it. Where were we? News-wise. Oh yeah, so Hitchcock, Rear Window rip-off. But hey, Rear Window's a 10 out of 10. So if a rip-off is even half as good, I could probably be into it.
And you know, a competent director. You've got Amy Adams, who's fantastic.
Yep.
So far, I'm relatively positive on this.
Yeah. Yeah, Amy Adams is an actress I like a lot, but I think it took a while before she was in a movie that I really loved. But then she started being in things like Nocturnal Animals, which is a fantastic movie.
That's fair. But even when she's in movies I don't necessarily love, I think she's very good in them.
But then sometimes she's the fat girl in Smallville
We don't talk about.
who gets a superpower to stop being fat.
We don't talk about
Then
that.
her fat suit gets so. I love how that's what we don't talk about in Smallville. One of the actresses is running a sex cult,
But
and
this is the thing. Amy Adams went on to be better, so she gets the dignity of we forget about that for her. You know, no one else got any better.
that's a bit harsh.
I mean,
I think they all worked out better than Alison Mack, given where she ended up.
I mean, sure. That's fair. I mean, what's his name that played Oliver Queen? He went on to This Is Us, right?
Justin Hartley, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean, he did all right.
Yeah, he's done okay. He's on the biggest show of the last couple of years, so he's doing really well for himself. All right, so moving on. So The Rock was going to star in a film for Universal called the Janson Directive. He's also producing it. He's still producing it, but he has been replaced by John Cena.
Why not?
So one wrestler had to pull out, so another one stepped right in. And it's based on a book by...
Wrestlers do tag teams, right?
Yes, that's a
There
wrestling
you
thing.
go. It's a tag team.
I love how you double-checked that before you made your wrestling joke. That was nice.
I'm not confident enough to have just gone with it.
Ah, dear. So it's based on a book by Robert Ludlum, who of course did all the Bourne books. That's his thing. Janson Directive focused on Paul Janson, an ex-Navy SEAL and former member of a covert government agency, Consular Operations, who becomes a corporate security consultant and takes a job rescuing an important man. When the mission goes awry, Janson is targeted for a beyond salvage termination order and has no choice but to follow the clues that lead him to a massive scandal. It does sound like something written by the same guy who did Bourne.
It does.
Which could be good, could be bad. It's hard to say. I admit, I think Bourne as a concept is not something that excited me. It's just that the movies themselves ended up being pretty good. At least the first three did.
Oh yeah.
So you know,
I'm down for this. I think.
Enthusiasm, folks.
Well, I mean, I'm not super into it, but I mean, there's definitely potential.
Moving on, John Woo is remaking The Killer, which is his own film. He's going to direct it again, but unlike before, where Chow Yun-fat was the lead star, now it's going to be Lupita Nyong'o. So we're swapping genders here. I actually really love that she's going to be an action hero in a movie, because I feel like it's so different from anything I've seen her do yet.
That's true.
You know, I feel like so she's negotiating to play the assassin, the role that was played by Chow Yun-fat in the original, and they're fast tracking this with the directing. In The Killer, she will play an assassin who puts her own life on the line to save a woman whom she accidentally blinded in her last hit. So it's this noble, like, I'm going to go out my way to save this person because I accidentally, hurt them. So
Did they give a reason why he's remaking his own film?
that's the one thing that was not there, was a reason for doing it.
I mean, I feel like that's the first thing you ask, right? It's like, why have you chosen to do this?
I don't know. It's worth mentioning the original film was known because everyone emulated its balletic style and violent scenes. So, so it was a really good action movie for it. I've never actually seen The Killer. I saw Hard Boiled a long time ago, but I've never seen The Killer. But it's well known for its action. So I'm interested in the sense that the plot's kind of simple enough anyway that I don't really mind that it's a remake.
Yeah, definitely. It's not exactly complex, is it?
And like I say, I actually think it's cool that Nyong'o's going to be in a movie like this, because I feel like, I've seen her in a couple of different things, but this is completely different for her. This is like, now you're a bad action hero.
Yeah, no, it's true. Something, new challenge.
Yeah, so hey, I'm oddly kind of optimistic about this one. Alright, moving on. Eva Green, Kathy Bates, and Edge Green have been attached to star in a sci-fi thriller called A Patriot. And this is going to be coming from a screenplay from Dan Pringle and Toby Rushton. Rushton worked in Monsters, Pringle worked in K-Shop. It takes place in the future, in a future authoritarian state that has walled itself away from a world ravaged by climate chaos and resource wars. The story follows an unquestioning border corps. No, it's corp. I don't know. I don't know if this is meant to be corp as in like corporation or core as in like Marine Corps.
I would assume that if they're telling you border corps, you know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Because it's sci-fi. It's all like these resources. I'm thinking like the corporations running it.
I get that.
Yeah,
Sounds more militaristic to me.
Yeah. Fair enough. So Border Corps Captain Kate Jones, played by Eva Green, as she fights to defend the purity of the population until a chance discovery makes her doubt the authorities she has pledged her allegiance to and life to protect. So,
your butchering aside, I thought it sounded reasonably interesting.
Nah, sounds interesting. So you got a future sort of wasteland kind of vibe outside the outside their city, and she's going to decide to bring down the corrupt, authorities that have, been lying to her her whole life. Yeah. Potentially generic, but Eva Green's not a bad actor to have in a movie, and Kathy Bates is pretty good too. So, can't fault. Next up, Imogen Poots and Jesse Eisenberg have been set to star in Vivarium, a sci-fi thriller from without name Helmer Lorcan Finnegan. And production starts in Ireland in July, so they're shooting this pretty soon. So this is getting going.
How did I know this was an Irish film?
Is Vivarium an Irish word?
No, the director name.
Oh right, okay. Finnegan, sure.
Yeah.
Which, but I mean that doesn't mean they're going to shoot in Ireland.
No, but it's
not like Jesse Eisenberg is local to Ireland.
It's not. I'm just saying.
This to me, this reaps of the Peter Jackson thing. Yeah, we'll shoot all of those movies in New Zealand because that's where I live.
I just want to just stay in my own fancy home.
Yeah. So Imogen Poots is going to play a young woman who, along with her fiancé, played by Eisenberg, is in search for the perfect starter home. After following a mysterious real estate agent to a new housing development, the couple becomes trapped in a maze of identical houses and is forced to raise an otherworldly child.
That didn't go where I was expecting it to.
I know, right? I'm curious. I'll say that much.
Interest is piqued. I'll give it that. Yeah.
I like Imogen Poots as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Eisenberg, I'm hit and miss on. Depends what he's doing.
I mostly like him. I rarely think he's the problem.
I think he works on Social Network. Batman v Superman, not so much. And then stuff like Now You See Me, which admittedly is just a bad movie, so I just hate it.
That's what I mean. I don't think he's the problem.
Yeah, sure. I think he's right for certain character types, so it kind of depends what they're doing with him.
Yeah.
I feel like he does have a type, and if you try and put him in a role that's outside of that type, it kind of falls flat.
Okay, that's fair.
Anyway, so next up, Benedict Cumberbatch is set to play Cold War spy Greville Wynn. And this is called Iron Bark. So Film Nation will finance it and handle international sales, which is based on the true story of the British businessman who helped the CIA penetrate the Soviet nuclear program during the Cold War. Wynn and his Russian source, Oleg Penkovsky, codenamed Iron Bark.
That's a great code name.
Do you know, every time I say it, I almost say Iron Back, and I'm like, no, it's Iron Bark. Like you have to really emphasize
go for it.
Yeah, and he provided crucial intelligence that ended the Cuban Missile Crisis. I love the name. I don't know if I necessarily love what the movie's going to be.
I agree with that completely.
I feel like Iron Bark. I'm like, is this like a spin-off to what was that called? The movie where there were all the Nazis are back because they were hiding on the moon. It was Iron something. They screwed up though because they should have called it Close Encounters of the Third Reich, but that's beside the point.
That is a great title.
But yeah, Iron. Oh damn, it's annoying. Anyway, but hey, so it sounds fine. It's the sort of thing where if it's done with the right kind of like approach, it could be an Oscar contender. One of these spy movies that's seeped in real world history and all the rest of it. And then,
Yeah,
Cabbage
pretty
Patch
much.
tends to get a lot of buzz, so...
He does. For good reason.
So, moving on, A24 is partnering with Plan B Entertainment on The Last Black Man in San Francisco, inspired by the real-life story of Jimmy Fails, who will also star in the film alongside Jonathan Majors. First-time feature director Joe Talbot is going to direct it from a screenplay he wrote with Rob Richert. The story focuses on a young black man and his best friend trying to reclaim the house his grandfather built amidst a rapidly changing neighborhood in San Francisco. Danny Glover is also in it, as well as Laura Birch. So the cast are sort of shaping up, and they're currently shooting in San Francisco itself. So they're on location. They're not faking it.
Oh, that's cool. It's a pretty good cast. The actual plot description is kind of just, it's fine. It doesn't give me much of a sense of the movie.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like I could see this being either like a serious drama but try to save this house, or is it something where it's a little bit lighter because like they're trying to save the house, but it could be a lot lighter in tone where it's the adventures of these two friends trying to like secure it and trying to do all the things that might save the house. Like
that's something I can't picture the movie necessarily.
Yeah.
Whereas with a lot of the other descriptions I can.
I don't know what the tone is, but I think there's depending on which way you go, you could build good examples of this movie in multiple ways.
Absolutely. And given that A24 are attached, I will assume that they, whatever way they do it, it will be a pretty reasonable direction.
Yeah. Well, no, it appeals to us is another question, but we won't look at it and go, that was stupid, why did you do that?
Exactly.
Yeah. Alright, next up, Jake Gyllenhaal is going to produce and star as Leonard Bernstein in The American. And perhaps more, I love Jake Gyllenhaal, but just to double up the sort of the name value here, directing and producing is Cary Fukunaga, who of course directed season 1 of True Detective, i.e. almost the sole reason that season 1 is as good as it is. I shouldn't say that because the two cast members are also really important, but
yeah, that was really unfair to those pair.
Okay, part of the holy trinity that made True Detective season 1 worth watching, although Alexander Daddario does not lose points either.
That helps, doesn't it?
She does, definitely does. So Michael Mitnick is adapting the script from Humphrey Burton's biography of Leonard Bernstein. Structured in 5 movements, like a symphony, The American follows Bernstein from conducting in New York Philharmonic. Philharmonic. It's getting late, guys. I'm going to lie.
That is the sun coming up.
Yes, that's the sunrise that's happened as we've been recording, for record. Philharmonic, thank you. New York Philharmonic. I need to say it all in one go. I can't just say Philharmonic on its own. At the age of 25, that's when he did that. He conducted in that at the age of 25. And through a meteoric rise to fame, all while struggling both personally and publicly to be everything. That's almost professionally and
it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't even say this phrase. Say it for me, Connor.
But you've rubbed off on me.
Personally and professionally, we always make fun of that phrase showing up in the TV like pitches when we're talking about the new shows, because so many network shows always end with as they try and balance their lives between professional and personal.
Yeah.
Things.
Yeah, they'll have a variation on it, but that's the most common. Often when we do this in an evening, I will be drinking because we typically record Arrow after these, and that's part of the drinking game is I'll drink every time one of the shows says that.
Yeah, yes, sunrise, folks. That's sunrise that's happened.
Yeah,
it was
so
already
no drinking at the minute.
It was already kind of late when we started, but it's gotten a lot brighter since.
It has. It's kind of just there.
So. Yeah, and also, and it ended with, and he was trying to be everything that everyone expected him to be, most of all himself. So, it's a movie by Cary Fukunaga starring Jake Gyllenhaal about a musician. So I feel like you're probably into this.
I'm in, yeah.
I'm in based on the names, and I enjoy music. I'm not necessarily excited by inherently excited by, it's about a composer, or I'm not.
Yeah.
But, that sounds fine.
Yeah, that's I like. It is the draw is the direction for first and foremost.
I think so too. That and then Gyllenhaal being Gyllenhaal, I think is what's there.
You could have told me pretty much anything after those two names, and I'd probably still be in.
That'll take us on though to the horror section for this episode of the movie news. And first up, we have basically surprising absolutely no one, the chairman, the CEO of Paramount, Jim Giannopoulos. has confirmed that they're officially doing a sequel to The Quiet Place. Or sorry, A Quiet Place, to be accurate in my titling.
Oh shit.
Yeah, shocking absolutely no one. But here you go. So I just wanted to mention it. I thought it was worth saying. Next up, Amanda Crew and Robert Patrick are starring on Ricky Bate Jr.'s home invasion movie called Tone Deaf. Robert Patrick, of course, is the T-1000, just for reference. That's what he's always going to be known as, even though he does pop up in other things from time to time. So it's already begun production, and it is the first film in the yearly slate of suspenseful thriller genre films from Circle of Confusion, who are behind The Walking Dead as a TV show, which doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of quality or anything. But so they're trying to do yearly movies, basically. And so Amanda Crew is going to portray a woman who leaves for a quiet weekend. I almost said a quiet place there, but it was in my head. Leaves for a quiet place. She leaves for a quiet weekend in the country after losing her job and imploding her latest dysfunctional relationship. She rents a country house from an old-fashioned widower, played by Patrick, who's struggling to hide his psychotic tendencies. Soon, two generations collide, with terrifying results in this home invasion horror film that is also a darkly comedic critique of the bizarre cultural and political climate. Do you know what's funny? Had it not told me home invasion, I wouldn't necessarily have assumed that this was a straight-up horror movie, because it sounded kind of like a thriller, and she's like, try to escape from this guy. But it sounds like there's other parties involved as well.
It does, yeah. Oh, but not until the end of that description does it become clear.
Yeah. It doesn't sound bad, though.
No. Sounds like there's a lot going on, though.
I wonder if it's going to, maybe it's a lot to describe, but it's actually simpler in premise. I wonder if this is going to be like the horror home invasion version of Assault on Precinct 13. If you're not familiar with the concept of that, it's basically this police precinct, which is, they're shutting down, they're shutting this one down. There's only a couple of cops there, and because of something that happens with a villain, so someone gets shot, and the witness runs into the police station, this gang comes to attack the precinct, and it's basically just the one cop and the convict that was stopping off on his transport. So the cop and the convict have to work together to defend the station. And it's kind of this idea of the two very different people defending. I can see that kind of being this thing here where it's this woman and then the kind of psychotic old man having to team up to defend themselves against the home invaders. And if I sell it to myself like that, I kind of like it.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So whether or not that's what we get is something else.
That's a good question. But Tone Deaf is the title of that. So
pretty good title, actually.
That's a good title. Next up, if I can speak, Paramount has set up a horror film called Crawl, and it's a project previously in development at Lakeshore, and it's moved to Paramount now. Alexandra Aja, which here says of Piranha 3D, although I feel like High Tension and the Hills Have Eyes remake might be more notable works to mention. He's going to direct it. Sam Raimi is producing with Craig Flores, and they're moving this into fast tracking it because Quiet Place for Paramount was greenlit just about a year ago. And it's out, yeah, because horror movies can have really quick turnover.
Oh yeah, you can have them knocked out within a month.
Production, sure.
Yeah, from start to finish.
Yeah, for shooting, yes, and
yeah.
But so you've got that's their motivation here. But they had a successful horror movie. The sequel's not going to be ready for at least another year. So for next year, we're going to have this. We're going to have Crawl, and so that's kind of the thing. So the film centers around a young woman who becomes trapped in a flooding house during a Category 5 hurricane and must battle against Florida's most savage and feared predators. Do you know what I like about this? I read this description and I'm like, this is a survival disaster movie, like surviving a hurricane.
Why is this in the horror section?
Well, because they're calling it a horror movie, and it wasn't until I got to the end where I kind of realised, oh, this is the horror subgenre it falls into. This is a man, well, in this case women, but it's man versus nature horror, where you're surviving alligators, you're surviving that kind of... It's a monster movie, essentially.
That's true.
So it's kind of a mishmash of genres in that way, but no, they're calling it a horror movie.
Fair enough. I think it all comes down to tone at the end of the day.
It probably does, yeah.
Like that description sounds like a disaster movie to me, but
if she's completely on her own and she's having to hide from, she's like sneaking around from crocodiles and stuff.
Yeah.
Or alligators. Someone's going to correct me and say, Florida only has alligators. You know what I meant, guys. Come on. Snakes as well. A lot of snakes in Florida.
there's a lot of all sorts of things in Florida that I don't want to know about.
Retired people and students.
Don't want to know about either of those things. Keep them away from me.
And at least one person we actually know.
Oh, definitely keep him away from me.
So yeah, that's Crawl. So yeah, that sounds interesting. Sounds like the sort of thing that I'll happily watch, and hopefully it's not terrible. Going back to sequels, we basically already knew this because of shooting stuff that leaked, of like casting calls and like dates and production start times. But they've officially confirmed that Happy Death Day 2 is happening, and they're casting in place for production to start in basically a week and a half. So they're getting ready to go, and we could probably see that early next year. I think, just going by the timeline.
Yeah.
They probably could squeeze it out by the end of this year, but I don't know. I feel like
they could, but I feel like if they miss October, what's the incentive?
If they miss October, I feel like you pick a Friday the 13th early next year.
Yeah.
Or Valentine's Day. Sometimes Valentine's Day can be a good day for horror movies.
It can.
Can be.
When's Groundhog Day?
I believe that's February, but I mean, I'm not really sure if I'm honest.
I feel like that's early-ish in the year. I feel like, play into your gimmick.
Because Groundhog Day's thing is that we're almost at spring, right? That's the whole thing with Groundhog
that's
Day.
what I thought.
Yeah. You can tell we don't we don't talk about Groundhog. I only know Groundhog Day exists because of the movie Groundhog Day. Let's be honest here.
I feel like most people do, frankly.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing though is they've said that the sequel is going to kind of go back into the first movie, Back to the Future style. So it's not just going to be the exact same repeating thing again, which I actually think that sounds quite interesting. But they've confirmed that Jessica Roth is returning, as is the love interest Israel Brozard, and also Ruby Modine, who was the roommate. They're all back for this one, so I am pleased. Christopher Landon, who wrote and directed the first one. Now, of course, we know that there was also another writer on the first one, but I'm hoping that Scott Lobdell was not the genius behind it, and therefore the second one...
It's hard to fathom him being the genius behind anything.
So I'm hoping that Landon on his own will whip up a good sequel. But hey, so that's that. And the final news story of the horror section, and indeed the entire show, is that Sony's Screen Gems has acquired the exclusive rights to Father Gabriel Amorth. I'll say Amorth. Father Gabriel Amorth, the legendary Italian priest who performed tens of thousands. Okay, first of all, tens of thousands. Like, I find it hard to believe that most people have done anything in tens of thousands outside of maybe like bites, like biting food. Because it's not like you've went to sleep tens of thousands of times. You can't have.
No.
Unless you have lots of naps, I suppose.
Hey, I can nap.
I mean, how many days are you, like, if you live to be 70, say.
Don't make me do maths.
How many days is that? Even if
Too
you have a
many.
nap every day, I'm pretty sure that's still not tens of thousands. I could be wrong.
Hang on, what? So
365 times by 70. Just, I know there's leap years, folks. Just let it go.
Sorry, that looked like too many. I'm just going to do it again. Yeah, it's 25,500. That is tens of thousands, technically.
Okay, all right, okay. I didn't think it was going to be as much as that. Fair enough.
Double checking it again.
Still though, for tens of thousands, we agree that it has to be at 20,000, right? For the plural.
Absolutely.
Right. So he in his life did tens of that's
a lot a day.
That's an exorcism every day. But then not really, because it's not like he was doing them in his first like 15 to 18 years, was he?
No, probably not.
So
I mean,
he's
I
doubling
hope
up. Yes, he's doubling up somewhere, is what I'm saying. That's a lot of exorcisms.
Well, I assume at this point he's not traveling around going, all right, let's go to this one. They're all just bringing them to him and it's going, right, let's do 6 today.
Look, just like the
I'm all booked in.
WWE always inflates their attendance. There's like, there's 70,000 people in the arena. It's like, oh yeah, sure. There's actually like 65. They're always beefing it up to make it sound better. I just think he's cooking the books. That's all I'm saying.
I have to be sure. I'm just like, I'm going to think of it like a dentist appointment. Where they came in, it's like, sorry, I got an exorcism at 4:20. It's like, sorry, I'm just finishing up my 4:15.
Okay, all right. So, Yeah, so he did lots of exorcisms for the Vatican, right? So also part of the deal, they got the rights to a couple of memoirs. An Exorcist tells his story, and An Exorcist more stories. Amorth died in 2016, left behind a trove of detailed accounts of his exploits, pulling the devil out of people all over the world. So he was traveling at one point.
Oh, he was. Okay. That scuppers that plan.
Because if he's traveling like quite far, you have to have travel time between the two exorcisms that are back to back.
Yeah. Maybe he goes to a country and they go, right, okay, all you 6 surrounding cities, bring me your exorcisms.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do them all here. You know, next Friday at 2. Come on.
Sure. So
So
basically,
maybe the movie will teach me.
they're hoping for a franchise. The article I read, this wasn't like the studio saying this, but it was basically like, okay, they're seeing The Conjuring have sequels, have spin-offs, and that was based on like some loose true stories, based on Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're trying to hopefully do the same thing with this, where you've got this priest who did all these exorcisms, and I don't know if this is varied enough for that. And also I'm like, yeah, but I've already got a lot of good haunting movies. I feel like exorcisms is not something I necessarily want to see as frequently.
Well, that's true. But if it's it could be. There's no reason why it can't work.
That's true. There's no reason why it can't work. I'm just like, I like a good exorcism movie. I'm not necessarily inherently excited for a series of exorcism movies.
No, I'm with you on that.
So but hey, that's that. So who knows what they're going to end up calling the first movie or whatever. Something generic, no doubt.
Yeah, I was trying to think of something, but no, nothing good. Nothing good's coming to mind.
Yeah. They could go cheesy with it.
Go on.
Go cheesy with it. Based on we mentioned Peter Jackson earlier. Based on From Brain Dead or Dead Alive, depending on your title of preference. The priest in that who comes out and says, "I kick arse for the Lord." If we get like a variation on that where he's like a badass priest, I'll be game.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds fun.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Alright, well that's the news this week, which does lead us on to the section where we'll bring up any movies we watched this week, if we want to bring them up and talk about them, that were not for review purposes, which I don't have any. We have been super busy with TV. I have had no time for extra movies outside of what we do for reviews. And even then, we've not been doing as many of those as we should have. Yeah,
the most recent thing I watched was before Infinity War, where I was continuing my Marvel watch through.
Oh, sure. You're scraping the barrel for that. There was something a week and a half ago.
No, I know that. No, that was my point, and that was Civil War, and I couldn't even finish it because I got bored.
Yeah, I was going to try and rewatch that before Infinity War. I never really had time to do it, so I just never got around to it. But I'll probably try and rewatch that and then Infinity War Part 1 before whatever they call the fourth one next year.
Yeah.
Played it close to them chest, the cheeky scoundrels. Alright, well,
they got to tell us eventually.
As mentioned, we have went all the way through Dawn recording. We had like 3 TV reviews to record, and then this. So it was pitch black when we started recording tonight.
It was like full on middle of the night.
And that now it's Connor's like a vampire. He's about to melt. Look at him.
I do feel like this is the most sunlight I've seen in about a week, and I'm kind of terrified of it.
But that has been the movie show this week, and like we said, next week we'll be back to having both the TV show and the movie show. It was just this one pair of weeks where they alternated, so you can expect us to be back. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. I should probably tell you what went up movie wise in the last week or two. I usually do that, don't I? Tell you what's coming up.
You just want to finish now, but yeah, you do have to do that still.
I'm not going to lie. I hear the bed calling me. I hear sleep being called upon. So so. In terms of what came out in the last week, we did have a Screams After Midnight that went up. Me and Tim talked about The Howling 4, the original Nightmare. I don't know why it sounds like it's a prequel, because it's not. It's basically a really bad remake of the first movie. But yeah,
that was the original. That was the original Nightmare. Was the first one. So
that is so loose.
Oh, it's tenuous. It is, but it's there.
But we talked about that. We had a hoot tearing it to shreds because it was terrible. So you can go check out that. Obviously, Screams After Midnight audio feed as well as the YouTube page, of course. I should say this more often. Go over to the Patreon. Not just if you want to support. Obviously, it's great if you want to support us. We appreciate all of that. You get some bonuses and stuff over at patreon.com/MaileFuzzTV. But the opening post does have links to all the various audio feeds, as well as like a list of all of our shows, just to kind of like make it clear what we're doing in terms of everything. So you can check out that. But that was streams after midnight. 1.21 Overload went up this week. Me and Matt talked about Easy A because he felt left out of the Mean Girls discussion a month or two ago. So he was determined to get a teen movie done. So we talked about that, and he gushed over Emma Stone. It was almost awkward at points. I felt like a third wheel in the room. He was making eyes at his box of Kleenex. That's all I'm saying. I felt awkward.
We've all been there.
With Matt, aye, I think we have. So I don't know why I'm cracking jokes that Matt really wanted to master, but like that has never been a running joke before. This is just a sign that I'm loopy and I'm just coming up with stupid things to say at this point. I should edit that out. I'm not going to though.
It's the because he's never going to listen to this, so it's fine.
No, he's not. Someone's going to tell him on Twitter though. They're going to tell him. They were talking about you. With your box of Kleenex and Emma Stone. So yeah, that was the movie shows that went up this week. Obviously, patrons got an influx early. They got the Lady Killers, the original Lady Killers this week. That'll go up publicly for everyone else next Friday. So you can look forward to that.
Just having a scan, because obviously it's been 2 weeks since we did this.
And we mentioned the Infinity War review at the start, so I suppose I don't have to emphasise that too much.
Yeah. Just some of the slightly older reviews now. Last week's ones that we would have told you about in last week's news.
Mm-hmm.
We did the for Influx. We did Predator 2.
That's right. Yeah, that went up. Yeah, we recorded that so long ago that I wouldn't even have thought of that. But you're right. Yeah, no. That was last week.
And let's see, this show has gone on so long now that I can't remember. But I think you mentioned it earlier. You and Tim did High Tension.
Yeah, I mentioned the movie. I don't know if I mentioned that we did it recently.
Yeah, I remember you. I thought you mentioned the movie, but yeah, that went up as well.
Yeah, that was the Patreon vote winner for the month. So we did High Tension.
And
it was curious because that's a movie famous for having a twist that not a lot of people love, and I hadn't seen it since the first time I watched it like 12 years ago, and Tim hadn't seen it in a long time either. So it was really interesting to see how we felt watching it now, knowing what the twist was, and does it hold up better than we thought? Does it not hold up at all? I won't spoil it. Go and find out.
Ooh, you cheap bastard!
It's a tease. Well, you got to wave the carrot sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, if not, there's always the stick.
What is the stick though? What do we
I don't know. We'll think of something for next week. Threaten them with something.
Go watch everything else, or listen to everything else, or we'll be really mean at you.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We'll come for you on Twitter.
I am far too tired to be making coherent thoughts. Okay, that has been the 1.21 movie news show of the week. Thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, and we'll see you next time. Connor, you're really ginger.